seven-figure CEOs build their purpose-driven legacy businesses through proven branding, marketing, and sales strategies so that they don't have to sacrifice their income and happiness for their mission. Thanks for watching the Life School Masterclass show. Join our Facebook group community of badass mission-driven entrepreneurs, and come back next week same place and time for our upcoming show.
All right. A happy Friday, purpose-driven entrepreneurs. We're back with another show, another amazing guest and conversation for you today. And today we're going to talk about how understanding who you are opens you up to your inner peace with my beautiful guest, Velma Gallant. Velma, thank you so much for finding time to be on our show today.
Hi, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. I'm also looking forward to learning so much more from you and all the amazing work you do with this very important topic. I mean, understanding our inner self and aligning who we are with the way that we all personally define success is definitely something that I think is beneficial to all human beings, not just entrepreneurs. So
Absolutely. I know I primarily work with divorced women, but at the end of the day, one of the things I've observed is that many divorced women are entrepreneurs. We've got that in us, and finding inner peace. I mean, it's something that I've grown into as I've grown older. I just think it is so vital, because really what it does is it allows us to support ourselves when it comes to our mind, body, and spirit. When we've got peace, our mind is at ease, we make better decisions. When we are at peace, our spirit, we're able to connect to it better. Intuition comes in stronger. When we are at peace, our physical well-being is better. We're sleeping better. We make better decisions when it comes to our nutrition. We have better energy. There's so much that peace impacts in our lives.
And Velma, I'm very curious. Why do you think, someone that goes through like a life change or life transition, such as a divorce, right? Whether it was voluntary or involuntary, depending on people's circumstances, do you find that sparks someone to kind of take a look at their inner well-being or inner self, so to speak?
It does. So I've been divorced twice. And so each divorce has impacted my peace in different ways. I mean, my first divorce, I was 28. And so I'd been married for 6 years. I married my high school sweetheart, and I was growing and changing. And the unfortunate thing is we were not growing and changing together. And how I was growing and changing was demanding that I choose me, I choose my peace, I choose my well-being, I choose myself. With respect to my second divorce, it was a high conflict divorce. It was 15 years of marriage. We had a child together. And so again, it was something that demanded that I choose myself, I choose my inner peace, because especially with having a teen son, I needed to lead by example. I really needed to lead by example, because this created a lack of peace for my son. And so the only way for me to bring him in there, it's not like he's a child anymore and I can just tuck him under my arm and bring him where I need him to go. I need to lead him to where he desires to go. So leading him to his own inner peace, leading myself to my inner peace. Those were so important as I was transitioning out of that marriage. And in all honesty, we have that same experience no matter what goes on. I mean, I've had career changes that have impacted my inner peace. And again, leading myself back to that peace was very vital in making those kinds of changes as well.
Yeah, and I asked that because that's usually, I mean, I've gone through something similar with my career change from corporate to entrepreneurship, but I haven't experienced obviously divorce, and hopefully not. We'll grow together and we'll grow in the same direction, sharing values and all of that. And that's what I've learned, at least in my partnership with my life partner, so to speak. But I know that every big change in our lives or big transitions does open up new areas to heal, so to speak, or new areas to look at inside of us that really become the catalyst for the maybe the work that we choose to do later down the line. And that's really, it seems like that's why you are passionate about helping other people, or specifically women, understanding how to find their inner peace, right, through getting to know themselves on the inside. So nothing is by chance, as they always say, right?
Yeah.
Our challenges usually lead us to want to now give back and help other people along similar journey that we've kind of gone through and overcome. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's dive right into, I know you shared some of the benefits when we first started having a conversation around why this is important to do, but practically, what are some of the things where do we start with this? What are some of the things you could share with us?
So one of the first things that I do with clients is I do connect them to a better understanding of who they really are. And how I do that is we actually take the time to discover why they do and be what they do and be the way they do and be it. So it is getting to that inner identity. So one of the things that I'm very clear about myself is that why I do anything, why I exist, is because I'm here to make a difference. I'm here to be a contribution to people. And how I express that has shown up in many different ways over the years. So that might be, you know, being a support to my partner. I have a long background in administrative, kind of not where I planned on going in my life. I excelled in math and academia when I was younger, and I ended up going into administration. A part of my story is I moved out when I was 16 years old. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse, and I made some really strong decisions for myself at a very young age. I was actually too naive to be afraid, to be quite honest.
Which
And
helps in those situations, right? Because sometimes the more we know, the more fear we tend to experience. Yeah.
so, making those kinds of choices, I ended up choosing the administrative career so I could get out and start supporting myself. It ended up being a way that I was wonderfully expressing my desire to be a contribution to others. I didn't realize that. Once I started understanding that to myself, I took the time to look back on my life and see where this manifested. The roles that I was in where I could not be a contribution to someone were the ones that I was the most unhappiest in, and that included my marriages. Both of my marriages, there was a point where I felt that I couldn't be myself inside of those marriages. And so that's why it's really important to take the time to look back, or to understand who we are at the very, very core of ourselves. Because if we are not expressing that, if it's not being expressed in a healthy and beautiful way, then we're not going to be happy. We're not going to be at peace. Being somebody who likes to make a difference, there's unhealthy ways of being that. Just so you know. And that would be, for me, it was expressing myself as a yes girl. Somebody needs help, I'm there, yes. And more often than not, I would be putting myself in situations where I was exhausting myself. I couldn't actually be the contribution that I wanted to be because they wanted my help, but they didn't want my help. They didn't want me as a person helping. They had their agenda for what they needed. And I unfortunately didn't fit in there. So there was plenty of times where I said yes to things. and it was not healthy. It was not healthy for me, and it actually wasn't healthy for the other person because it couldn't be what they needed.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned contribution so often in what you just said. And I definitely have also discovered that that is the needs of our soul for fulfillment. And every time we are contributing for the right reasons, because sometimes, as you mentioned, we could be wanting to help because maybe we lack something, or we're trying to, do it for the not the right reason. And being a people pleaser, sometimes it's one of those things that shows up
Yeah.
into our day-to-day life. So that's where we're doing it not for the right reason, but definitely contributing in whatever way we can to someone else is absolutely always going to make us happy and fulfilled, and give us the inner peace, I believe, that we all are looking for, that we're making an impact. What I do matters, and it's really meaningful to someone else. So, within healthy boundaries, I definitely
Yeah.
think it's something that can be achieved. So, Velma, through your framework, can you give us a few more specifics around the clients that you help? So, I know you mentioned you help them at the beginning get the clarity that they're looking for. What is it that they're trying to achieve? So, what are some of the steps that you could share with us that might be helpful to someone listening, based on your framework, the way that you help your clients?
Well, again, the foundation is gaining that kind of understanding around ourselves. So being a contribution, being the type of person that makes a difference, that's one why, I guess you could say. So one of the whys of why we do things the way we do them. There are a lot of other ones. There's actually, in the system that I use, there's actually 9 whys. And an example of that would be finding a better way. That's my son. My son is the kind of kid, he's going to be 22 this year, so I suppose he's not a kid, is the kind of young man who likes to find a better way and share it. And the reality of being that way, it's been very beneficial as he's been expanding into his music career, but it's also got him fired from jobs, because as a young person, they don't feel he has the knowledge and the wisdom and everything like that to be able to back up this way of being for himself. And they don't want people coming in and making things better. They want the status quo. It's always been this way, that kind of thing. And so there's the light side to that is you're consistently refining things. You are finding those better ways. It might be simpler. That's another why, is simplify. And at the same time, the dark side of that would be that sometimes you can better weigh something to death. You don't actually get things out there because you keep better weighing it. Oh, well, what if I did this? What if I did this? Right? And you can get frozen in that and not actually be in movement. So each of these ways of being, it's really important to understand what are the benefits and what can be some of the obstacles. Because again, knowing ourselves is really important when it comes to that kind of thing, because we can start making healthier decisions as we start moving forward and bringing that peace in. So getting to know our why, the why operating system, it's how we do things the way we do them, why we do things the way we do them, how we express that why, and the results that we actually bring to the table through expressing our why. That's the full integration of that. And then what I do is we actually take some time and look back on their lives as to how did this show up in your life? Where do you see that you were expressing yourself? Where did you see where you weren't expressing yourself? So it was impacting your piece. And what worked, what didn't work, those kinds of things. So we take some time looking back through that lens of understanding ourselves better. Mm-hmm. Then we take some time to look at what's your present, where is it showing up now? Are you expressing yourself? Are you being who you're supposed to be in this moment? If not, what's missing? How can we shift you in that direction? And then we start looking forward and creating the vision and a strategy to move you forward, making sure that you are expressing yourself and being yourself in a healthy and beautiful way. And what would that look like to you? You know, being a person who loves to make a difference. I mean, how that shows up in my life, one is the work that I've chosen. Another one is how I impact the young people around me. I adopt every one of my son's friends. They become my children. And so I get the opportunity to speak into their lives sometimes, not always. Um, and so that's another way where being a contribution shows up in my life. I'm the kind of person who, a little pokes in a little hello to people. How are you doing? Or just checking in on you. I want to make sure that you're okay, kind of thing. And the other aspect of understanding myself this way, it's actually created the filter for where it's appropriate for me to say yes and where it's not appropriate for me to say yes. And I think that's a really important distinction because, of course, when you're saying yes to things that aren't healthy, it's impacting your peace, right? So say, for example, so my full operating system is my why is to make a difference. I am here to contribute to people. That is the very foundation of who I am. And how I do that is by challenging the way things are thought about or done. I do things outside of the box. I don't do things normal. I don't do them always in a sequential thing. I like trying new things. That's part of how I'm a contribution. I'll do it differently. And at the end of the day, what you can count on me for are simple solutions. I love to simplify things, get it down to brass tacks. I do that inside of my podcasting. Is I'll listen and integrate what somebody is sharing, and then I can paraphrase it back to them in a very short and simple way. So that is why I do things the way I do them. And so when it comes to somebody making a request of me to be a contribution to them, I take the time to check in. Are they going to allow me to challenge the way things are thought, things are done or thought about? Am I going to be able to challenge them? If not, then I'm not actually going to be a contribution. I'm going to be adding stress to them and me. Are they going to accept and take action on the simple solutions that I provide them? If not, I'm not actually being a contribution to them. I'm actually adding stress to them and me. So by understanding myself and the way I operate, it's actually given me the opportunity to understand that sometimes saying no is the contribution.
That was a big one, and you shared so much valuable insight around that. But I love the way that you reframe everything around contribution. That's a different. I've never heard of it shared that way before, because that's really when you are always in coexistence with other human relationships, when we are co-creating together. I also find, I probably talk about it in a different way, but you're always looking at how is it that I can contribute and how is it that they can contribute, in my life as well. And sometimes just getting that clarity is the clarity that we need for that moment and phase of stage of our business journey or our relationship or our, or that part of the thing, so that you can, give yourself peace. But maybe at this point, there is nothing that we can connect together that could be a contribution that's beneficial to both parties.
Absolutely. And I think understanding the person across the table from you. So doing this work as long as I've been doing it, I can often, through a conversation, pick up on what very likely their why would be, what it is that makes them tick. And so, like I said, my son is a better way type of a person, and I see it all the time. Understanding that that's the way he is. If I want to get buy-in from him on anything, the way for me to do it is to understand how is this going to be a better way for him. If I can share with him how it's going to be a better way for him, I will more often than not make that connection with him, and we'll be able to continue with whatever it is that we're going for, right? Another one would be clarifying. There's a lot of people out there who love to get into the details, and they need to know as much as they need to know before they will move. Once they understand and everything is clear to them, they will move, and they will move fast. So often there are people like that inside of your work roles, inside of your family, maybe even on your team. And when you understand that, then you can go to them and say, okay, here's the information I have. Is there anything else that you need in order to proceed? And you'll often hear a lot of them saying, I just want to be clear. They just want to be clear, right? And those are usually some of your little hints about the fact that that's what's really important to them, and that's why they do things the way they do them. They get clear first, and then they move. That's not the way I operate. I sometimes move before. I'm often a ready, shoot, aim.
That's me too. It's like,
Right?
I'll act, then I'll figure it out.
Exactly. And sometimes having somebody like that on our team is really important. That's why sometimes being aware of, so, I know I work with women who are going through the divorce process more often after their divorce. But we all have relationships, whether they're intimate friendships, career-wise, whatever the case might be, we all have relationships. And when we understand ourselves to that level, we can communicate that to someone else.
Yeah.
So if I was one of those clarify people, which I'm not, I would be saying, okay, these are the kinds of things that I need, and then this is what I'll be able to give you out of that. And then I want you to understand that once I have that information, you will get the best results out of me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we all want to help at the end of the day. Sometimes the other person is not really clear on what they're asking for, and we also not really clear on what is it that we can do to help. So
absolutely. And there's some people out there who are challengers right from the outset. Like it's like, well, why? Always asking why or what about and stuff like that, right? You'll see that that's the way they lead. I want to be the contribution first, and then I get in there and ask the whys, right? But there's a lot of people who start with those first. They'll start with those kinds of questions. And again, understanding let's say let's say it's my son. I know he's different, but let's say my son is a challenge. And I've got friends actually that I haven't actually gone through this process with them, but they're the ones that always ask questions. Well, what about this? Why that? Why this? And understanding that that's the way they are, I don't get offended by it. It doesn't trigger me the way it would have before I had this kind of understanding, because it's like, okay, that's just the way she's wired. And sometimes when I've decided that, okay, I've had enough of these questions, this isn't serving me, then I can just simply say, I sure appreciate that it's really important to you to find other ways of doing things. I really appreciate you care about me enough to be asking these questions, kind of thing. So then that gives them the pause. It still acknowledges who they are and that who they are is okay. And it still puts that little pause in there so that I'm not being overwhelmed by who they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Lovingly putting up a boundary for sure. That's very, very, very cool. Well, Velma, I want to thank you for everything you shared. I think at the bottom of it all, because I'm a big, I always like to look at the depth of the thing. It's human relationships, and they show up everywhere in our lives. So starting with us, then we can really understand how to navigate all these other dynamics, whether it's our business, our team, our family, our children, everyone around us. Because again, you are the center of your own universe in a way, right? So you doing this work is really going to improve the quality of everyone else around you and help you sustain or keep up, live in a healthy environment where you are loyal and true to yourself, but also, of course, always mindful and contributing towards other people as well. So I want to thank you. I've actually reached the end of our interview. You had so much great insight today. I usually ask my guests at the end, Velma, to share a final message from their school of life with our audience of entrepreneurs. And then I want to ask you, where is it people can find out more information regarding the work you do?
So I think my final message would be learn to understand and accept and love yourself exactly the way you are. There is no such thing as a mistake. You are not a mistake. Who you are is perfect, and you are here to make a difference in whatever way feels amazing to you.
Beautiful message. And where is it that people can find more information on everything else that you have going on?
So I'm on most social platforms. So you'll find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And so you just search my name up, you'll find me. I'm not on TikTok. I haven't figured that one out, and I don't know if I will. And there's also a free report at findpeaceafterdivorce.com, which is my hope is it's a resource that does a lot of good contributions to the ladies who are out there going through divorce. It's not gender specific. I mean, it is definitely got resources for the men who are going through divorce. However, I happen to be a woman, so it's pretty easy for me to connect to them and make a difference for them.
Absolutely. And definitely go check out Velma's website if you are in need of any of those resources or just to be connected, because as entrepreneurs, connecting with one another is really an important part of us finding the fulfillment that we're looking for in not only growing our business, but making the impact that we want to make. And Velma, I think that's a lot of times, right in line with our topic today, us as entrepreneurs are not also very clear what kind of support is it that we want in our business as well, because we might not have that clarity that you mentioned based on your process and what we talked about at the beginning. So I would like to ask you, based on your stage, and level of business that you are in right now, I want to open up this whole to the whole audience is going to be watching this interview. What is it that someone else can do to contribute or to help and support you that you might be looking for to make a bigger impact?
Wow. Okay. Well, I would love more opportunities to be able to share this message with others, because it is a message. While I do market to divorced women, that is my target market. This isn't the kind of work that is only for divorced women. So being able to open up that conversation with other women in life transitions, that would be amazing. More often than not, I end up working with women over 40.
Well, there you go, right? So I'm sure anyone that's listening can connect with that and they have something available. So definitely reach out. And this is the way we can collaborate from our heart as entrepreneurs as well, not only with the line of work that we do, but also how is it that we get to expand our message, reach the people that we can help, but also leverage each other's networks and communities and audiences and all the good stuff that we have, and leverage the power of human relationships and human influence, right? Because we all are influential people. We all know people that know, like, and trust us, and we have invested a lot of time into these relationships. So opening up our circles to each other, I think is, it's very beautiful to all expand together.
Absolutely. I'm open to connecting with anybody. You don't have to be divorced. Please don't just be divorced people. I love you all.
Thank you so much, Velma. It was a pleasure. I learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for everything you shared. And I will see you with another show and another beautiful guest. Bye for now. Have a good rest of your Friday and weekend. Love to offer you a free high-level strategy call where I would love to hold the space and really connect the dots for you in your life and business alignment, from branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team, and really have you walk away with insight on what you might be missing and what are the gaps you are currently experiencing in your business between where you are and what you're trying to achieve, so that you can get more income and make more impact with the work that you are doing in the world. Let me know if you'd like to connect, and I'll be more than happy to have a call and a beautiful conversation together to see if we can support you